You've been doing the work. Praying. Trying. Showing up even when showing up costs something. You've done everything you knew to do, and looked up one day to find that everything looks exactly the same as when you started. Not worse, maybe. Just unchanged. And there is a particular kind of devastation in unchanged. Quieter than failure, harder to name than loss, because at least failure gives you something to grieve. This just gives you more of the same. If that's where you are, you're not alone in it. Say, there's something here for you. You made a decision at some point. Maybe you remember the exact moment, maybe it was gradual, to do this differently. To pray more consistently. To trust more intentionally. To stop operating from fear and start operating from faith. To be the kind of person who shows up even when they don't feel like it, who keeps going even when the going produces nothing visible. And you did that. You have been doing that. And nothing has changed. Not in the way that matters. Not in the ways you were told it would, if you just believed enough, prayed enough, surrendered enough. The situation you were trusting God to move is still in exactly the same place. The relationship is still the same distance. The door is still closed. The thing you've been asking for is still absent. And you have been faithful, genuinely, quietly, at real personal cost, and the scoreboard looks identical to how it looked before the faithfulness began. There is a specific kind of exhaustion that comes from effort without evidence. Not laziness, effort. Real, sustained, costly effort that has not produced a single visible return. And the cruelest part is that you can't even be angry about it cleanly, because you know the language. You know you're not supposed to measure God by outcomes. You know that faith isn't a transaction. You know that His ways are higher and His timing is perfect, and every other true thing that somehow fails to address the raw, specific ache of standing in a life that hasn't moved despite everything you've poured into it. You've said the right things to yourself. You've quoted the right verses. You've talked yourself off the ledge of bitterness more times than you can count. But today you're just tired of talking yourself back. Today the question that has been living underneath everything else finally surfaced. What is the point? Not as despair, as genuine bewilderment. What is the point of the prayer, the faithfulness, the showing up, if the showing up doesn't seem to register anywhere? If the life on the other side of the effort looks exactly like the life before it? That is not a faithless question. That is the most honest question a faithful person can ask. And it deserves more than a platitude. So let's sit with it, together honestly, and see what's actually here. Here is something worth sitting with before anything else. You are still asking. Not passively. Not as a formality. You're asking because something in you still believes, or wants to believe, that the asking matters. That the effort is not disappearing into nothing. That somewhere beneath the unchanged surface of your circumstances, something is in motion that you simply cannot see from where you're standing. That belief, thin, worn, tested as it is not nothing. It is, in fact, the very thing Paul was describing when he wrote words that were not composed in comfort, but in a prison cell, with a thorn in his flesh that God had refused to remove despite being asked 3 times. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Not, my power is made perfect in results. Not, my power is made perfect when things finally change. In weakness. In the unchanged. In the place where you have run out of your own ability to make anything happen and are left with nothing but the bare, undecorated act of continuing to show up. That is not where God's power is absent. That is, precisely and specifically, where it operates most fully. The unchanged circumstance is not evidence of divine indifference. It may be evidence of something being built in you, in the invisible interior, that could not have been built any other way. Something that required exactly this length of time, Exactly this degree of effort without visible return, exactly this quality of faithfulness in the dark. You are not spinning your wheels. You are being formed. And formation, unlike outcomes, is almost always invisible while it's happening. There is a woman in the Bible whose name means pleasant, and who asked people to stop calling her that. Her name was Naomi. And by the time we meet her in the book of Ruth, pleasant was the last thing she felt. She had left Bethlehem with a husband and 2 sons. She had done what faithful people do, followed her family, built a life in a foreign land, stayed when it would have been easier to leave. And then, one by one, she lost them. Her husband first, then both sons, until she was left in Moab, a widow in a foreign country, with 2 daughters-in-law and no path forward that she could see. She decided to go home. Not with hope, with nothing. The text doesn't record a prayer of faith, a declaration of trust, a moment of spiritual renewal. She simply ran out of reasons to stay and began walking back toward the only place that was familiar. When she arrived in Bethlehem, the women of the city came out to meet her, recognizing her, excited, calling her by name, Naomi. And she stopped them. "Don't call me Naomi," she said. "Call me Mara, bitter, because the Almighty has made my life very bitter. I went away full, and the Lord has brought me back empty." She said it plainly, without apology, without the performance of faith she didn't have. She named the gap between what she had trusted and what she had received. She looked at the arithmetic of her life, the faithfulness invested, the losses sustained, the emptiness returned, and she said it out loud, "I came back empty." And God did not correct her, did not appear in that moment with an explanation or a rebuke, did not ask her to reframe her grief or find the lesson or count her remaining blessings. He let her stand there, honest in her bitterness, and begin the ordinary work of the next day. And it was in the ordinary work of the next day, in the small, unspectacular provision of a field and a relative she hadn't thought of and a daughter-in-law who wouldn't leave, that everything began, quietly, to shift. Not in a moment of spiritual breakthrough, in the texture of daily faithfulness, in things that didn't look like answers while they were happening. Naomi couldn't see what was being woven together in her ordinary days. She only saw the empty. But the empty was not the whole story. It was the part of the story that preceded something she had no framework to anticipate. You don't have to imagine how it feels to return from your efforts empty. You already know. What you don't know yet, what Naomi didn't know yet, standing in that city square calling herself bitter, is what is quietly being woven together in the ordinary days you cannot yet see the end of. Here is what sustained effort without visible change does to a person over time. It begins to rewrite the story you tell about yourself. First it whispers that the effort isn't working. Then it suggests that maybe you're not doing it right. Then, quietly, beneath both of those, it plants the most corrosive idea of all, that maybe you are not the kind of person whose life changes. That transformation is available, just not to you. That the testimonies you hear belong to a category of person you are somehow outside of. That is not a spiritual assessment. That is exhaustion wearing the mask of discernment. The truth is harder to feel from inside the unchanged season, but more real. Invisible does not mean absent. The fact that you cannot see movement does not mean nothing is moving. Naomi walked back into Bethlehem empty, and Ruth was walking beside her. The provision was already in motion. The kinsman redeemer already existed. The field was already there. She couldn't see any of it. She only saw the empty hands. What you are living through right now is not evidence that God has stopped working. It is evidence that you are in a chapter of the story where the work is happening below the surface. In you, in the unseen arrangements of circumstances you have no visibility into, in the slow, invisible formation of something that will one day be undeniable. You have not been faithful for nothing. You have been faithful for something you cannot see yet. And the not yet is not the same as never. It never was. Let's slow down together. Not to find motivation to keep going. You've been finding that on your own for a long time now, and it's not what you need. What you need is permission to stop measuring. Just for a moment. To set down the before and after comparison, the progress check, the audit of how much has or hasn't changed, and simply be here, in this breath, without the weight of the scorecard. Begin with your breath. Inhale, and as you do, release the count. Release the tally of days faithful and days unanswered. Let the exhale carry the comparison out of your chest for just this moment. Not forever. Just now. Now, notice one thing that is true today that was not produced by your effort. The air in your lungs. The light in the room. The fact that you are still here, still capable of sitting with this question, still enough intact to want something more than what you've been living. None of that came from your striving. It was given. Paul wrote it from inside his own unchanged circumstance. The thorn still present, the limitation still real. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. Inwardly renewed. Day by day. Not visibly. Not measurably. Not in ways that would satisfy an audit of your circumstances. But real, quietly, continuously, beneath the surface of the unchanged. The renewal is happening. You are not the same person you were when this season started, even if everything around you looks the same. That matters. Even when it doesn't feel like enough. Close your eyes if you can. And bring the honest thing, not the composed version, not the version that sounds like faith is winning. Bring what's actually here. The frustration. The bewilderment. The exhaustion of a person who has been trying and looking up to find the view unchanged. Bring all of that. It is welcome here. God, I don't know if I trust you right now. I need to say that before anything else, because I think you already know it and I'm tired of praying around it. I've been faithful. I've been trying. I've shown up when I didn't want to, believed when I didn't feel it, kept going when every honest part of me wanted to stop. And I'm looking at my life and I can't find the evidence that any of it registered. That scares me. Not just the unchanged circumstances. The possibility that I've been talking into silence all this time and didn't know it. Tell me that's not true. Not with an explanation. I don't need the theology right now. Just tell me somewhere in this quiet that you have been here. That the prayers landed somewhere. That the faithfulness wasn't performance for an empty room. I need that to be real. I'm choosing, right now, at real cost, to believe that it is. Because here is what I know, underneath everything, I am still here. Still talking to you. Still, despite everything, despite the unchanged and the unanswered and the quiet that has stretched longer than I thought I could survive, still reaching. Not gracefully. Not with the confidence I had when this began. But reaching. Something kept me reaching. I need to believe that something was you. God, I'm not asking you to change everything today. I've stopped being sure what to ask for, honestly. The specific request feels smaller now than the thing underneath it, which is just this. Let me know it's not for nothing. Let me know the effort has been seen. Let me know that somewhere in the economy of all this, the faithfulness is being held. Show me what Naomi couldn't see, not the ending, just a glimpse of what is already in motion. Just enough to take the next step without needing to know where it leads. Renew me inwardly. Even as everything outwardly stays the same. Even as I walk back into the same unchanged life when this ends. Meet me there, in the ordinary, unspectacular, unresolved middle of it, and be the thing that makes it survivable. I am still here. That has to mean something. Let it mean something. Amen. You came here with a question that doesn't have a clean answer. And I'm not going to pretend it does. Because you've been given clean answers before, and they didn't reach the place where this lives. What you needed today wasn't an explanation. It was company. It was the acknowledgement that the question is legitimate, that the exhaustion of faithfulness without visible return is real and hard, and not something you should have to carry in silence. Naomi walked back into Bethlehem calling herself bitter. And God didn't correct her. He met her in it, in the ordinary days that followed, in the quiet provisions she almost didn't notice, in the story being woven together beneath the surface of her empty hands. You are inside a story you cannot see the shape of yet. That is not a comfort that resolves the frustration. But it is a truth that holds, even when nothing else does. The effort is not disappearing into nothing. The faithfulness is not being wasted. The unchanged surface is not the whole picture. It is the part of the picture you have access to right now. Come back tomorrow. Not to measure again. Not to check the scoreboard. Just to be here, in this quiet, in this presence, in this space where the question is allowed to exist without being resolved. And if someone you know is exhausted from trying, from doing everything right and seeing nothing move, don't offer them a reason. Just sit with them. Send this. Let them feel, even slightly, that the trying has been seen. Because it has. Every single attempt. Every single day. The door you think closed behind you is still open. It always was. You just couldn't see it from inside the trying.